Man, Todd and I, we've been going through discernment for quite a few months here because it takes me longer to get things. But Todd said I'm not alone, so I don't feel bad admitting that to you all. I think the first one with discernment that really resonated with me was tra the title of it was Trading Personal Logic for God's Wisdom. Um, it's I think I've talked about this before. It's really because of various reasons growing up, um, what was valuable in my household and to my dad was, just being a subject matter expert and knowing about something, having the answers and being able to speak confidently towards those. That's what was valued in my household, and that's what I valued about my dad a lot. And so I emulated that. And, throughout my career, I've taken roles where that's what I do. I pick an area that not as many people know about, just go super deep in it, become the expert, and, whatever that works great, at work. Not, not so much, not so much in relationships, and not so much with a spouse necessarily. Nobody likes someone who wants to be or tries to be right all the time. And so, what this played out with me is, okay, what's the evolution of this with generative AI? You all probably hear me talk about, ChatGPT a lot. It just kind of that made this issue compound substantially, like not creating a monster, but it became a lot easier to be right and to really ask ChatGPT, what should I do here? What should I do there? Like just for literally everything. Now it's Claude Code. I ditched him. I'm cheating on ChatGPT with Claude Code, but it's really easy to kind of lean on that as kind of the first call. And what Todd and I've been working on before the sermon was going to God, going to Him, trusting in Him first for His wisdom, leaning on Him first, instead of reaching out, picking up the phone and dictating to Chat GPT. And I think I still struggle with that, to be super honest. But through this awareness, it is making me catching it most of the time. So really just that whole trading your own logic and what you formerly valued more to what's God speaking into this? What's God saying? And I'm just gonna be like, at the risk of embarrassing myself, I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, I'm a very literal person. The details really matter to me. So this area of going to God first and listening to Him, just, between asking Todd, like, okay, am I allowed to eat now? Not that, but really close to it. I got the gist of what am I supposed to be doing, and really that it kind of was answered in that section with a couple of key questions, like in what, God, in what you want me to do, does it, and these are really hard, but does it bring you glory? Like, God, did you lead me in this area? What would you like me to do with this? And I struggle with that because I like to have in that effort, like I was telling you, to know all about a subject matter, or like it's like I want to take chaos and make everything black and white and put together, steps on how to do things. So this part, does it bring him glory? That's hard, man. When you think about everything we probably do what, 200 things per day at minimum. And it's been hard for me to navigate through that, but like having that overriding question, does that bring them glory? It's it's humbled me. It's called out several things in my life that, you know, are clunky. That's a nice way of putting it. And so that criteria, instead of using your own personal wisdom, asking God for His guidance, and with those actions, does it bring Him glory? Is God truly leading me here? That's probably the first thing. And then the second thing is that we've talked about is with with emotions. Um, I know I've shared with several of you. I have ADHD, and along with that, even on medication, sometimes it's hard to stay regulated, especially if it's something where I'm caught off guard. I mean, I was customer facing for 20 something years, working with C-suite and tech companies, and I'm prepared for those things. I'm prepared for them to come in and say something that just, lights a fire under my butt, and I just want to, say something not very nice. But I've conditioned myself for that. But those times where I'm not expecting it were were times where God's revealed to me, okay, I mean, there's some stuff. Clunkiness isn't even really like described. There's some stuff you really need to work on at the heart level. And that second question was, the point Todd and I talked about making those emotions servants, not gods, and letting those emotions kind of dictate what you do and rule. We all know. I mean, it's healthy. A lot of the problems I've had in the past was because I kind of shut down those especially those negative emotions. If it wasn't a happy thought, like kind of like the Ted Lasso effect, if it wasn't something happy, I just cut that off. And what that translated into after doing that for years with my ex, if she was struggling with anything, it's not, I didn't beat her to death with Christian cliches because I don't like that either. But it was like in my mind, I was thinking, how can I fix her? Sad emotions or negative emotions. That's bad. Everything has to be happy. I kind of like over-indexed on those things and went too a little bit too far in that direction. Had to honestly after my divorce, I had to kind of get back into, okay, what does it even feel like to have a sad or negative emotion, be able to process that? But the key here is like not letting those rule you. The way I described this, okay, this was sad. I'm acknowledging what's going on. All right, let's process that emotion and move on and not let that rule my life. One of the verses that Todd and I talked about were Galatians 5:16, where it says, "But if you're led by the Spirit, you're not under the law." And it says the works of the flesh are evident. If you go through that list, immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery. I mean, like it's like a top 20 list. It's everything that we're not necessarily supposed to do. So those emotions, when I let them get the best of me, that verse was it's kind of like an indicator, you know, is this how that takes over and manifests itself in your life? And just that point was just really good for me to have a personal self-awareness and check of what's how how do emotions how do they fit in my life? Where do they fit in my life? And how do I need to kind of treat them? And then the third one that I wrote down here is trusting the trusting the scripture over my gut feelings. Um, and the one thing that came to mind when Todd talked about this is the difference between focusing on devotions and making devotions kind of like the main thing you do all the time without also going to the scripture, like just the raw scripture, God's word.